Hi guys, it's Rike here and welcome to another video. If you're new here, my name is Rike and I usually review a lot of activewear, but today I will do a little chatty video. So, if you're always interested in hearing what's happening in my life behind, the Legging Addict aspect, then you're very welcome to listen and watch those videos, If you're only here for activewear reviews, then just wait for next Thursday, the coming Thursday, and there'll be more activewear reviews. But yeah, like I said, if you want to hear a little bit more about my life, outside of the activewear scope, then let's dive into it. I have recently gone on vacation in Canada for a few days, so I thought, it could be fun to talk a little bit about that, and from a European aspect, what I always find interesting and what fun things I did and stuff like that. So I thought we could talk about that today. If you ever have any questions, you can always drop comments down below. I also have an anonymous link in the description box here in case you don't want me, to see who you are, who asked the question basically. And I try to drop one of those videos into my rotation every now and then. So, you can hear a little bit more about me, and yeah, if you have similar interests, it's always also fun to chat with you guys. So don't hesitate to drop a comment down below and, we can chat about our common interests or whatever. So yes, anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in any of my other chatty videos, I've recently talked about moving countries and that kind of stuff, starting a new job, about how it is to do a PhD, these kind of things. I'm going to link that playlist up here so you can go check that out too. And yeah, let's dive into my recent Canada trip. So I bought very, very few things this time because I didn't have that much time for shopping, and you'll see those things in other videos, clothing items. But I'm gonna involve a few non-clothing items in today's video as well, because they match what I think I'll be talking about, because I don't really have a script for these types of videos. I just start talking and then see where it takes me. But I have a few fun stories to tell about this Canada trip, so I think this time I didn't really have that much time because I just started a new job, so didn't have that many vacation days and a lot of things to do, that kind of stuff. But me and my boyfriend, so my boyfriend is originally Canadian, we decided we wanted to go to Canada this year in April because of the total solar eclipse. So if you live in North America, you probably heard of it. I also know some colleagues here in Finland had heard of the eclipse because it was talked about in the news. So they also asked me, they were like, "Oh, is this why you went?" So yeah, total solar eclipse happened in April, beginning of April. And see, I always forget which day it was. Was it the 8th or the 9th? I'm not 100% sure. I think it was one of those 2 days. And it kind of went angled across North America, right? So basically starting in Mexico and then going across the US and then basically hitting southern Ontario. And my boyfriend's family lives around the Toronto area, so very close to where totality was supposed to happen. So we decided, it would be a great time to just go visit them and also see the total solar eclipse. And we actually did also take a small trip. It was just a 2.5-hour drive, I think, to Lake Erie, and saw the solar eclipse there, which was good because I saw that in Toronto it was very cloudy and we did not have that issue. But let's start with, me getting there. So I had a flight from Helsinki to Frankfurt, and then I had a 6-hour layover in Frankfurt. And I was like, cool, I can have some meetings in the airport and stuff like that. The Frankfurt airport Wi-Fi was actually really good. I had full-on Teams meetings, no problem. So that was actually pretty sweet. And then my flight was supposed to board around was it 2:30, I think, 2:30 p.m. German time or Central European time. And then 5 minutes before boarding, they decided to tell us that, oh, there's a small technical issue. It's probably going to take another 20 minutes to fix it. But, no worries. We'll start boarding a little bit later. Then half an hour later, they decided, no, it's actually going to take another 2 hours. So we were like, great. More hours to spend at the airport because, 6 was already doable, but it was a lot. And I decided that was, yeah, it was just pretty long, so I continued working a little bit. And also in terms of European passenger rights, oh, sorry, now my nose is, give me a second. I'll be right back. Sorry. So I had a little cold when I came back, but, it's now a week later and it's definitely better, but the nose is still a little leaking sometimes. Anyway, so in terms of European passenger rights, once your flight is about 2 hours delayed, they owe you a meal voucher. And the amount is 10 euros, which is not a lot of money in an airport. But, at that time I had already had lunch because we were supposed to board at 2:30. And I had gotten up at like 2:30 in the morning the same day. So, I was hungry enough to have lunch already and stuff like that. And so they gave us a meal voucher for 10 euros. I wasn't that hungry, but I was like, you know what? I could do with a smoothie. So I got myself a smoothie. And then I still had some money left on those 10 euros. So I was like, might as well just buy an overpriced Kinder Surprise egg because I like Kinder Surprise eggs. And otherwise the money's gone. So, bought a Kinder Surprise egg for 2.50 €. Very pricey Kinder Surprise egg, but I didn't pay for it, so it's all good. So got that, and then we sat back down. Then they decided to board us. At this point, I think we were kind of like 2.5 hours delayed. And again, European passenger rights. If you are more than 3 hours delayed, the airline owes you money. And depending on how long the distance is between your origin and your destination, they owe you a specific amount. So for, a long distance trip like this one, it was 600 euros. So from the moment they're 3 hours delayed, they owe every passenger on this flight 600 euros. So they were really pushing to get us on the plane because they do not want that to happen, right? So we were all boarded, sitting down. I was in premium economy. They brought us orange juice, and we were sitting there like still nothing happening. And I was talking to my dad on the phone. I was chatting with my sister, with my boyfriend, like updating everyone what's happening. And then, I'd also check on my phone if there's any updates. And wow, all of a sudden the flight was supposed to be another 3 hours delayed. But they hadn't said anything on the plane yet. So we were like, I was just like looking at this. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that was then in total a 5.5 hour delay, basically. And I was just like, what? And now we were on this plane, right? So this was then 3 hours from the moment I checked until we were supposed to depart. So then 5 minutes later, they also announced it. So apparently the issue was tougher to fix. Frankfurt is the Lufthansa hub. So I was flying with Lufthansa, so this is where they have everything. And yet they had like such big issues. Apparently something happened. They had to change like a valve or something. And then something happened, so it took longer to fix. And then, they didn't let us off the plane anymore. And all they gave us was crackers and some water. So I was like sitting there, starting to get hungry, couldn't get up. Well, I could get up, I could stand where my seat was. And like a lot of people were just standing around, right? Because we were all in the same boat, basically, or on the same plane. And it was like very annoying. We were still like attached to the gate and everything. So why didn't they let us just go and take a walk, whatever? So I was sitting there, chatting, texting, talking, all that. And when it was like getting closer to the time they said we were to depart, they were like, oh yeah, so now the repairs are nearly done, but we also need a new crew because they could only work so many hours. And I'm like, couldn't you realize this before? I don't know. So then it took like another hour until the crew actually came, the new crew. And then at some point we left and they were like, yeah, we got to do our best to like speed this up as much as possible, go the most speed we can go. So the flight actually took an hour less than it was supposed to. Like an 8.5 hour flight, I think, and we only took 7.5 hours. But I arrived 5.5 hours delayed. So yeah, 600 euros for me, but still, that was such a long day. And I was still hungry. And of course they were like, oh yeah, I mean, as soon as we're like, the seatbelt signs are off, we would start preparing the food. And I didn't even have time to watch all the movies I wanted to watch because I was so tired, so I fell asleep. I realized that's a first world problem. But yeah, anyway. So I made it there like 5.5 hours late. And then I was waiting for my suitcase. I'm used to like just rushing off the plane, going through immigration as fast as possible because that could be long lines, but there was no line at all. So I was really fast. I like breezed through it. And then I was waiting for my suitcase. And I was waiting. And waiting. And waiting. And then, there were so many suitcases that had already come off the belt. And I was just like, oh my God, did they lose my suitcase? Like, I cannot deal with this anymore. And eventually the suitcase came. After like 40 minutes waiting there at the conveyor belt. And then I could finally, leave the airport. I was picked up, of course, and just went home, had some food, and just fell asleep. So yeah, I did claim my 600 euros though the same evening. I also told people, like my seat neighbors and everything, I was like, don't forget to claim your 600 euros. Because some people don't know about this, and the airline is supposed to tell people, supposed to inform people. So I was really expecting them to have like an announcement or anything, like they just have something, but they didn't do it. So I did my best and at least told people around me to claim their 600 euros. And then usually the airlines will argue, but I was like, I mean, this is a very clear case. I hope they're not going to argue with this. And they actually didn't. Like next day I had an email like, yeah, just fill out this form, put in your bank details, and, you know, all good. So that was at least positive. But yeah, that was something. And then the first day we didn't do very much. And then it was like, you know, going a little bit shopping. So we went to, I don't even know which order we did things, to be fair. But we for sure went to Costco because, you know, people in my boyfriend's family love Costco. And to be fair, I also think it's like fascinating because everything is like big packaging. Like, you know, I brought the M&M's 1.3 kilogram package. Look at this. I brought this last year as well. And then, for example, the 27 pack of chewing gums. That last time I got this, it lasted me a full year. So also very good class. Because I actually realized Finland doesn't really have a lot of choices. Or like a big selection when it comes to chewing gums. None of them look good. So I was like, I could use this. And then, of course, I also saw that they have books for a good price, you know. So I also got a few books here. I was like, I can't take more because they're also heavy. But with premium economy, you do get 2 check-in luggage pieces. But anyway, I didn't want to take too much. So I got The Happy Place, or not just Happy Place, by Emily Henry, because she's like, you know, I have actually never read one of her books, but like she's like what do they call it, chick lit? So it's like feel good romance novels. So I felt like, you know, why not try this? So I actually started reading this, and I'm kind of halfway through. So far, so good. You know, nice. Like I always like to read like romance novels as like a palate cleanser. It's like just nice little in between. You don't have to think too much, but it's very wholesome. You know. And then I got this book, Bad Cree, by Jessica Johns. First of all, it's shiny, and I had actually seen this book in a store here in Finland, and I kind of wanted it because of the story. It's like it's kind of also Native American or First Nations, because she's I think this is Canadian. She's a Canadian author, like First Nations story kind of. And here it says of Sucker Creek First Nation, yeah, in northern Alberta. But like it sounded just like a very interesting story. And the book I had seen before also was like kind of red orangey with ravens on there, but it wasn't shiny. But this one was shiny, so I was like, cool, this is a sign, because I wanted the other book anyway, but didn't buy it because I shouldn't buy so many books, you know. And so I figured I would get it now. Then I also got The Framed Women of Ardmore House, another orangey thing, but purple here in whatever you call this, by Brandy Shillis. So this one was kind of like a little murder mystery, which I also like. They're also usually kind of wholesome. And I think this author is also autistic, so neurodivergent, I think it was her. Let me see. Yes, she's autistic. And also incorporates some neurodivergent like kind of characters in her books. And I was participating in a reading challenge this year where I was supposed to read a book by a neurodivergent author. So I was like, this is cool. And then this book was all over, you know, the gram and probably also Book Talk. I don't have TikTok, so I don't know. And I kind of wanted to read it, and everyone kind of likes it. So I was like, I'll give this a go. And just give me another second. My nose is starting to leak again, unfortunately. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And yes, so these are the 4 books that I got. I also meant to go to a bookstore, but didn't have any time. But I don't want to complain because I got 4 books, you know. That's more than I should have gotten anyway, because I have too many books. And talking about book clubs, or books, now I'm like, you know, talking ahead. My brain's going too fast. But anyway, talking about books, I also recently attended a book club meeting for the first time ever. Because there's this, like, GGI Girl Gone International, like, whole group thing. And then they have, like, groups for a lot of different cities, so I'm also part of that here in Helsinki. So if you're a girl, woman, non-binary person, and you're looking, you know, to make friends, and you just moved somewhere abroad, also if you just moved back to your home country and like our home place, and you don't know a lot of people, it's always like good to kind of go on there, and you know they have like different meetups and that kind of stuff. So I attended a book club there and we talked about a book, so that was also interesting. And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but if you also like books, you can be my Goodreads friend, and I'm just going to put the link to my profile down in the description box as well. You can just befriend me and we can, follow each other's reading stories and reading past whatever and get recommendations and that kind of stuff. So, yes. But back to Costco. This time they had so many different samples to try as well, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I was really happy about that as well. I got to try like a lot of like pierogi and some kind of like chia oat thing and a new like sparkling flavored water stuff and some cereal and all that kind of stuff. So there was so many different things. It was really good. Yes. Let's move on. So then there was also the eclipse that happened. And yeah, we drove down to Lake Erie and to like a provincial park, and there was a big beach, and you had to like pre-book the access and the parking because they only had like so many parking spots. I think it was like 600. And so of course we had the reservation, everything was set up. We had the glasses, camping chairs, food, everything. So we drove out there that morning. Eclipse was around like 3:20 p.m. I think, Eastern Standard Time. So we were equipped, and in the morning it was kind of like drizzling and very cloudy. So we were getting a little worried, like, oh my god, are we actually not going to see it? But then it cleared up like right when everything was supposed to start. So we were just sitting there with our glasses, just like watching. And you're not supposed to look through them for too long. So, sometimes we were just watching. Then I was also trying to take pictures with my phone, the glasses in front of it, right? Because the lenses are also sensitive like your eyes. So I was doing that. And then totality was around 3:20, yes. And for that, you can look at it with your bare eyes. And it all of a sudden got so dark. So the light also became a little eerie just before that. And all of a sudden it was like dark. You could see like sunset lights all around, a few stars. And then we took pictures with my actual camera, so with the one that I'm filming with. And I'm going to insert a picture here. And it looked pretty impressive. And it was just like crazy to see how dark it got all of a sudden. And there was so many people on this beach. And it was just like a really fun experience to like experience with everyone together. Like it was crowded, but like everyone still had their own space. And, it was just like a really fun thing to experience. And I can also insert a picture where I just combined like some of my phone pictures and the camera picture together, so you can see like kind of how it happened. And then after that we tried to leave, and then of course there's one road because it was kind of a peninsula, so one road leading off that peninsula, so it took forever. But we made it eventually, and it was just a really fun experience. And then we also of course went into Toronto. Into the city. I saw a Raptors game. The Raptors were doing so well this season. And the other team, I think they were playing the Indiana Pacers, also wasn't doing so well. So, honestly, I always had I have some feelings about North American basketball. I do prefer European basketball. We do a little bit more defense. So, And my feelings were just kind of, I felt like I was right to have those feelings. So I feel like my European basketball games, I find them a little bit more interesting. Like literally, at some point, this guy just stops and ties his shoe. Like in the middle of the game. I've never seen anyone do this. Like how did he even realize it was untied? Like, do you have so much time to just look at your feet and be like, oh, my shoe is untied. Better just bend down and tie my shoe. And it took forever, and people were just trying, they were on the other side of the court. Like, what are you doing? So it was a little crazy. To be fair, also the refs were not very good, and they were kind of like really disturbing like the flow of the game. But I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong in thinking that European basketball might be a little bit more entertaining. Maybe you've only ever seen North American basketball and you're just like, oh, this is entertaining by itself. But like, honestly, I prefer European basketball, especially after what I've seen as well. But you know what? It's fine. I liked the experience. It was cool to see. I got a lot of merch for my sister as well because she's a fan of the NBA, like just NBA in general. And I got stuff for her dogs and for herself as well. She've had them here as well. It's the cutest thing. But then she would see it before I actually give it to her. So, better not. It's gonna be adorable, okay? And when we were there, they had a 40% off sale on all the merch. So I was like, cool. Don't say more. I'm just gonna, buy stuff for her and bought more than I was supposed to. So that's also good. And then the next day we went and saw a Blue Jays game. I am a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. I am a fan of baseball. Never used to be before I met my boyfriend because I always thought baseball was boring. I never really watched a game. But then when I started watching, I also actually started finding it very interesting. And I also started forming strong opinions about certain players, you know, at the very start. There's some people I really, really, really hate. Yeah. There's someone I just call stupid face all the time. Not on the Blue Jays, you know? Not on the Blue Jays, obviously. But yes, so we saw a Blue Jays game. Unfortunately, they lost. The Raptors also lost. And then we saw a Marlies game the same day. So the Blue Jays started at like 3:07 p.m., I think. And then the Marlies started at 7 p.m. And we actually did have a good amount of time to make it to the arena for the Marlies as well. And just give me a second again. I'll be right back. Alright, I made it. But yes, onto the Marlies games. So, because usually the NHL games, so the Maple Leafs games, for example, it's impossible to get tickets or get tickets you can actually pay for, you know, because they're like so expensive. So we opted to see an AHL game. We opted to see the Marlies. I've seen them once before as well. And I just like to sit close up on the ice, you know, because it's fun. And a lot of like things came my way, so it was really fun in general. And yes, so they also lost. I was 3-for-3, yes. But no, it was still fun. And then, you know, of course, I also went to Walmart. We quickly took a trip, went to the shopping center, got some David's tea because David's tea is not really available outside of the Canada or the US. They don't ship anywhere else. And yes, I know they closed most of their storefronts as well, but they have one in the Eaton Centre, so downtown Toronto. So that's where we went. And I need to sneeze. I'm sorry. All right. This is more extreme than it was the whole day. What is going on? Another sneeze. And then I better don't sneeze another time because in German you always say, wer dreimal niest ist doof. Who sneezes 3 times is stupid. So don't do that. Let's not do it. Anyway. So yeah, and then it was also basically already time to leave. Like it was crazy, like went super fast. And of course, like last year, I went for about 3 weeks. So we did a whole road trip to the East Coast. We went to, like, through Quebec and out to the Big River and that kind of stuff, right? And then we ended in Halifax and flew back to Toronto. But, like, and we started out in Quebec. No, sorry, Quebec, in Ottawa. So I did see a lot of things last year as well. Like, we took our time there with that road trip. But yeah, now it was just like a little bit shorter, and like even though we didn't travel very far, like I still did a lot of stuff and it was very busy, and of course also meeting friends, right? So of course my boyfriend's parents, his family in general, his friends. So we just were meeting people as well, hanging out with people. I got to pet a lot of dogs, you know, dog here, 2 dogs there and stuff. So many dogs. And also I think there was a few cats. Obviously there was a few cats. So I was happy with that too. And that was the Canada trip, yes. Like I said, I also did get a few pieces of clothing, but really not a lot this time. So I'm hoping next year there'll be more. Because we usually go like once a year. Of course, during COVID, that was a little bit impossible. But now it was my 4th time there, and I went for the first time in 2019. So yeah, so we didn't go in 2020 because we couldn't. But then we went... probably even didn't go in 2021 then, right? Because it was 2023, and then this time. So if I said that's my 4th time, so yeah. But one time I even got to go to a conference as well. So I went to Vancouver first, and then I was flying back to Toronto overnight, 4.5 hours. So that was fun. And my nose is leaking again. Like, what is this? Give me a second, please. All right. Let's hope this was the last time in this video. I'm also about to wrap it up. I just wanted to tell you also quickly how what my favorite foods are, what I'm always trying to eat when I get back there. So I of course have to always, or I like to always have at least poutine once on my trip. So I did have poutine once, and then I also do like beaver tails a lot. So there's a little pastry thing, and you can get them in different flavors. And I really, really wanted to get beaver tails, and we didn't really have that much time. And in Toronto, there's really only one place. But fortunately, it's very close to the Sky Dome where the Toronto Blue Jays play. So we actually went there before the game. And what I always found so crazy, but I know it's normal for baseball, you can just bring food in and whatever. So we bought the mini ones, the small ones, like 12 of them for the game. And we were 3 people, so we shared them between us. That was really fun. And then I saw they had merch, but I was like, nah, I don't need to buy it now. I'll probably get it next time. But then I realized you can't even buy the merch online. Like, at least the website doesn't really work online. So I'm like, I should have just bought myself a hoodie, a Beaver Tails hoodie, when I was there, when I had the chance. But I didn't want to carry that much stuff around, you know? Because we were still going to the Marlies game as well. So I was like, oh. And then I also always like to go to a board game store because, you know, sometimes, especially like the English language board games, can be much, much cheaper in Canada than they are here in Europe if you want to get them. And yes, I can also play the German ones. And a lot of games are actually German originally. But if I get a German one, my boyfriend might not be able to play it with me. So what's the point, right? But yeah, so we were also buying some board games. Just 2. Because we, again, didn't have that much time and didn't want to carry everything. So, yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this up. This is the story of my Canada trip. If you've ever any questions about the trip or like any other things, like I said, drop a comment down below or use the anonymous not gonna lie link. And yeah, if you want to be Goodreads friends, use the link down below as well. If you have any feedback, any suggestions for new videos, any suggestions for new talking topics, let me know in the comments down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, see some adventures there. And DM me there, but be aware I'm very more likely to see your comments here on YouTube. And let's hope that the next video, my nose will be perfectly clear, no leaking, no nothing, no need to constantly run away from the camera. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative and interesting. And I will see you next time. Bye!